So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forward. So, this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Victoria Poole, who's Director of Sales at the Milner York. So, Victoria, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, the Milner, what you do, and how you help people, and who you'd like to invite to come and see you, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you for having me, first of all.
Very welcome.
And like you say, I'm at the Milner York, which is the hotel right next to the station. It's been open since 1853, but it was in a different position and then it sort of moved nearer to the station. Always embedded in the railway history. So it's a hotel that's part of York and has been for a very, very long time, and part of that landscape of jobs and employment, as well as offering lots of things to lots of people. So as you can well imagine, as a hotel, we are lots of things to lots of people, from your wedding guests to your corporate stays. But I think what we often forget is that the doors are always open to everybody. So you don't have to stay with us to be in our hotel. So I mean, my favourite in the property is the garden room. We serve up chocolate afternoon tea there. And it's just such a lovely lounge experience overlooking the Minster. But then again, 2 minutes up at the other end of the hotel, you could be having a boardroom meeting for, 150. So yeah,
Wow.
we are a lot of things to a lot of people. And Queen Victoria has visited in 1854, so we are by royal appointment.
Ha ha, wonderful, wonderful. And I said before we started, I've had many great meetings there. I don't think I've ever stayed there for enough, which is because I only live a little way away. But for anyone that is looking, it's a great place to meet, especially if you've got guests coming from a long way, coming on the from the train straight up,
Yeah,
straight off the platform. 2 minutes, you could be having a lovely afternoon tea.
that's right. Linked to the hotel, linked to the railway station at the back. But then we are frightfully lucky because of the car parking at the front. So, there's
Yes.
whichever way you're going to arrive to the building, we've got something there.
Absolutely brilliant. No, I can heartily recommend it as being a client and customer of yours over many years. Um,
Yeah.
so Victoria, maybe if we look back just to start with, then you could tell us a little bit of your background, how you got
Yeah.
into business, and why this particular one for you.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I started my career in hotels quite early on, and I studied service sector business management at Leeds University. But alongside studying that, I had a part-time job, as we all do as students, don't we? And it really gave me an insight, because I took a job in a hotel, as to the variety within hospitality. On top of that, and purely based on that, I decided to do a placement year within a hotel group. So I worked for Virgin Hotels,
Brilliant.
and they really gave me such a wide scope of learning across different hotels in the UK. But then also, as you can imagine, and as I've already touched on, within lots of different functions in the hotel. So everything from housekeeping up to the commercial teams. And I think that was my turning point. And I just fell in love with the pace, the people, and hospitality. So in the more recent years, the combination of the strategy and the service, and I've really enjoyed just being around people,
Yeah.
and the chance to build teams, but alongside the commercial performance. I think hospitality is a nice industry to be in, because it impacts people for the most part in such a positive way.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. It was funny. I was talking to a couple who now run a care service of domiciliary care. They care for the elderly in their own homes, and they both come from a hospitality background. And
Oh,
and I think hospitality is one of those great industries, professions that teach you so much in so many different areas, especially things like client delight, customer service, but also, it's a tough job being
it is, yeah.
for our customers,
Yeah.
24/7. So there are two or three sort of professions that I feel really do give anybody a great grounding in being a great person in business in general.
Yes, yeah, but like you say, you've got to have the business acumen, haven't you? But you've got to enjoy wanting to be around
Yes.
people.
Yes, absolutely. If you don't enjoy it, it's not a great thing to be.
No.
Funnily enough, I remember it takes me back many, many years ago. It was my we went away for my birthday with some of my best friends, and we had it was a villa in Spain, and there were we two families had two, and there was a third villa, and a couple turned up halfway through the week, and the guy, the father, we never met him for several days, and the wife and the kids were lovely. We never met him, and it turned out we met him finally, and he was quite a miserable person, and he was in a restaurant business, and
Oh.
and he said 50 years, 50 weeks of the year I've got to be up for it, mine host, and then two
Mhm.
weeks I just get into a hole and become grumpy. And I have to say, I thought, well, surely that maybe is not the right job for you, because if you're pretending to be happy 50 weeks of the year, that's going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, no, you've always got to have that smile on, haven't you? You're always
Absolutely.
accessible, and I think even more so now because technology. So
Yep.
you've even got to be bright and breezy on an email
Yep.
as well as
Well
phone
said.
calls. Yeah, there's so many touch points of communications.
Absolutely. So I'm keen to know, when you're growing up, is this the sort of career that you saw yourself taking, Victoria? Did you have other things planned
Now,
at that point?
please don't laugh, but I actually originally wanted to be either a PE teacher or an archaeologist.
Oh, wow.
I know you couldn't write it, could you? But I loved sport as a child. I loved teamwork.
Yep.
So I suppose that's where my PE teaching interest came. And with archaeology, I just loved history. But I'm a bit nosy and I like uncovering stories. So I can see why both as a child were
Yep.
appealing to me. And they had a big pull for different reasons. And I knew then that I needed to do something quite hands-on. But like I said, um, the older I got, the more I realised that actually I have a bit of a business brain.
Yep.
So I realised hospitality, and then in particular sales and marketing would where I would sit. And I get to work with people, so that ticks the box
Brilliant.
there.
Yep.
I get to inspire teams. That's a bit like a PE teacher. I get to be
Brilliant.
nosy and uncover opportunities. That's the sales side. And I love storytelling. So that's where
Brilliant.
your PR stories come in. And I think overall, and I always revert back to it whenever I chat to anyone, it's about those memorable experiences. So whilst it wasn't the career I imagined as a child, I really think it's been perfect for me
Brilliant.
by default.
Yeah. Brilliant. I guess it's like you knew what you wanted, and those are the careers that probably fitted, but you've now found the one that really fitted.
Yes, yeah. I
Absolutely
didn't
brilliant.
like mud, and archaeology, I was going to get a lot of mud. So there
I
was a
think
drawback to that
I
career
think that would
path.
be a slight drawback. Yeah, archaeology without mud is is not really a thing, is it? Really,
Yeah.
um, so looking back, also, and what are some of the biggest issues you've had to overcome in your career or in the business as a whole?
Well, I think with anybody in business, it's always navigating change, isn't it? Because
Yes.
everything's evolving at such a pace. And there's always economic uncertainty, shifts in the marketplace. And biggest challenge for me is when you've got to restructure a team or
Yep.
someone that's quite well balanced because of the economic circumstances.
Yes.
So, but I think, and we touched on it prior to our pre-chat, lockdown. Overnight, we went from being this,
Yeah.
all hotels being vibrant to busy places to doors closed with no guests. And that's just a huge challenge, not only commercially, but mentally and
Yes.
well-being, because a lot of our team thrive on that interaction and service. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, they didn't have that in their lives, and we were interacting in a very different way.
Yeah.
A lot of people enter hospitality because of the people, the contact,
Yeah.
and actually they want to help, they enjoy that part of the job.
Yes.
So then when that's removed for them, it was a challenge to make sure that all the teams we were working with were upbeat in their mental well-being. And then on a personal level, I think the biggest challenge for me is resilience,
Yeah.
because I think you beat yourself up early on, don't you? And you take setbacks to heart.
Yep.
So, from the sales side of me, losing like something that was a big piece of business that was going to make or break a month for a hotel, or then facing a decision that didn't quite go the way that I hoped.
Yeah.
But over the years, you do get a little bit used to those situations, don't you? And you've just got to learn to deal with it and accept it, that it's going to be a learning opportunity.
Yes.
And I
Absolutely.
think as a leader, a sales or a commercial leader, I think it's been invaluable to be able to learn resilience so that I can help other people as well and be
Yes.
calm, be that, that person that's got the balance and the
Yeah.
thought and the bigger picture.
Yeah, I only really thought about it as you were talking then. I certainly believe lockdown in general reduced the whole world's mental resilience by a certain amount,
Yes,
and some more than others. Obviously, I know it affected me in many ways, but I'd not thought about that obviously the hospitality sector was massively affected by COVID, and most of the people in that sector are very people oriented. So
yes,
going from being so out, mixing with lots and lots of lovely people to not
yeah.
being able to mix with anybody must have been really challenging, specifically for people in your sector.
Well, yeah, I think, if you look at the Milner in isolation, we deal with probably 75,000 check-ins a year. So that's
Wow.
75,000 conversations. And it's
Yes.
not, we really encourage our team and not to just do that whole computer process driven
Yep.
check-in. So, everybody that we have, and I'm really proud of them, that they're all people centric in everything they do. So they want to know why you're there. They're all a little bit nosy. So if you
Yep.
remove 75,000 conversations out of a team of 10, that's a lot of,
Yep.
dialogue and interactions to take away from someone's life, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, I've not thought of it literally like that to this point because it's sort of literally it's going to be the worst for people in that industry because if you're in it, you've got to love people, and
Yeah,
that being taken away must have been terrible. Um,
yeah.
and in terms of learning, whether it's from the challenges or successes that you have, what are some of your biggest learnings about growing businesses?
Um, I th People are at the heart of everything,
Yep,
especially in our
brilliant.
industry. So you can have the best product, the best hotel, the most shiny bedroom, the best commercial strategy. But I've been in hotels previously working as a consultant where the team weren't with everyone else
Yep,
and they didn't understand the strategy, they didn't understand how to make it work, so then it didn't work.
yep,
So if you don't have your team around you and you work, with cohesion, that nothing will ever be a success.
yep,
And then on a personal level, because I always do the business of a commercial learning, but a personal learning, that balance,
yeah,
because if you don't take care of yourself, you never perform at your best.
yep,
So I think lockdown as well taught everybody to have a little bit more self-care and
yep.
that work-life balance. And we've all, or a lot of people, and I hope many more will start to realize that work-life balance makes you happier and then in turn makes you perform better.
100% agree. Bang on. The reason I do what I do now is because my first business was very financially successful, but
Mm,
personally quite challenging. I was doing 100-hour weeks for 3 years, which
yes.
some people watching this will think that's just easy, but it certainly wasn't for me. Um, so I set out a goal to help as many people as I could grow businesses, but enjoy doing it, not just tolerate it.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think you're absolutely right. The more fun, I absolutely believe the more fun we have, the more effective we are. Therefore, the more
Oh,
profitable we are. And happy we are. So it's an absolutely virtuous circle.
definitely. And we do quite a lot of fun things in the hotel,
Brilliant.
just we have a cowboy themed initiative at the moment. So you have
Brilliant.
Western Wednesdays, you could be Sheriff of the Week. So all those little bits that seem nothing. So if you're in a commercial meeting, with the
Yes.
board and you're talking about presenting someone a sheriff badge, it might not mean anything, but the value of the people value that so
Yep.
much. And we do get to drink a lot of champagne and prosecco in this industry to celebrate
Well,
success.
that can't be too bad either. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a guy called Paddy Lund who talked about this idea of critical non-essentials, and what he was describing the things that you do that are not essential to doing business but critical to the relationship. If that makes sense.
Exactly. Yes.
And they don't have to be big things. It is that I think in this context, the phrase that it's the thought that counts is exactly correct. It's like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not that you spent millions of pounds on something. It's just that you've thought and identified someone's done a great job or
Exactly. And that could be anywhere across the estate, from
brilliant.
the kitchen porter. all
Absolutely.
the way up to the. I tell the general manager he's done good as well.
Brilliant, brilliant, absolutely. Well, they probably need it because they're probably the ones that you know they're doing the best, but probably people don't say that to them often enough.
Yeah, no.
Wonderful. And I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know
Yes.
who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, or life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
Um, on a professional basis, I worked with somebody a lot of years ago when I was fresh out of university. And they're still in the industry, albeit slightly away from hotels, a different side of hospitality. And they really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. But they
Brilliant.
gave me support and trust, and they knew I needed to grow. So they knew I was frustrated with myself. So, and I needed that self-belief to flourish. And
Yep.
so, I always thank them. And whenever I bump into them now, which I still do at industry events, they're
Brilliant.
very aware that they, were quite integral to me becoming
Brilliant.
someone in the hospitality industry at this level. And then, but I suppose when you look at sport, I see quite a lot of influences from my children's sport leaders
Yep.
because they understand that to be part of a team and part of sport, it's not just about winning, albeit a lot of the time it is. It's about being part of a community.
Yep.
And I like the way that a lot of sports coaches understand that. It's
Yep.
about being the team and the team spirit. And it
Yep.
links back to my true belief that people are at the centre of everything.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Good. And I couldn't agree more. It's so key to be, to be part of a great team and to build great teams around us. Uh,
Yeah.
and whether it's from that particular mentor or anything around it, do you have any favourite quotes or sayings that you catch yourself using regularly on business or success or life or
I think my team play a lot of quote bingo from me because I do have some favourites. So it goes without saying that teamwork makes the dream work
Of
by John
course.
Maxwell is going to be up there. It just captures everything that
Brilliant.
I value most in business and life.
Yep.
I like Swallow the Frog. I don't know if you've ever used that one,
Yep.
but I say that daily just to remind everybody to just do the toughest or the least appealing task first in your day.
Brilliant.
And finally, you may have guessed by my accent that I am a Geordie originally and grew up in Newcastle.
Yep.
So there's a saying up there that shy Bens get nout. So which obviously translates to shy children get nothing. But I think it makes me always think to be bold, just to speak up,
Yep.
seize opportunities. And it was something said to me all the way through my childhood. So
Brilliant.
yeah, I still say that now.
I love that one. Yeah, no, it reminds me. I used a phrase a few years back when I was being cheeky and asked you to be invited to an event that I wanted to get to a couple of my heroes are at, and I asked the guy that I knew reasonably well, and he said the thing that swung it for me was I said I know it's a bit cheeky, but if you don't ask, the answer's always no.
Exactly, it's the same thing, isn't
And it's the same thing,
it?
absolutely, and it's brilliant, and it's right, isn't it? What's the worst
Yeah,
that's going to happen? We're going to be told no, and
yeah,
that's
exactly.
and that will happen. But it's like if you don't say it, it's always no.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And on the same note, do you have any favourite books or a podcast that you follow about business in general, success, or even your trade?
To be fair, I don't listen to any industry podcasts and I
Yep,
shy away from any TV coverage about hotels only because I always feel frustrated that it's not real.
yep,
So, but I do listen to quite a lot of, positive well-being podcasts. So,
brilliant.
especially I'm on the way to work and
Yep,
you've dumped the kids at school and you've just got to have that bit of positivity in your life just to reaffirm that all is well, and the
absolutely,
worst that can happen is somebody saying no to something.
absolutely, brilliant.
Yeah.
Uh, and what would you say on the learning front you've learned about yourself throughout your career so far?
um I've learned that actually I'm more adaptable than I thought.
Right.
So I thought I was quite in my lane and I knew where I wanted to be, but you've got to be adaptable. And lockdown taught us that. But even
Yep.
before that, I was very aware and obviously been in the industry a long time, but hotels and hospitality's so unpredictable. And actually I thrive in that environment because I
Yep.
like the challenge. And I've learned and I still value listening, because sometimes the best solutions come from not me not talking. It's just from hearing what's going on around me,
Yeah,
whether it be listening to the team and their frustrations about a system and how it's not as streamlined as it should be, and then going away and quietly thinking about that, to listening to a guest and
yeah,
understanding that actually this isn't what they want. This, they
brilliant.
want an enhanced offering. So yeah, I've learned that, yeah, listening is critical, and be adaptable.
That yeah, makes sense, and I guess sort of relates to the resilience you talked about earlier, is
Yeah.
the adaptability. In fact, going back to COVID and lockdown, I remember one of the favorite quotes I picked up, and I hadn't picked up until that point, was from Charles Darwin of The Origin of Species and the Evolution, and he said it's, if I paraphrase it, it's not the strongest or the most intelligent of the species that survive, but the ones that are most adaptable to change.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of evolution going on in 2020. I think in terms of what we do
Well,
next and how we do it.
well, but by creatures of habit, we're all quite adverse to change, aren't we?
Yes,
Until we fully embrace it, can see some light at the end of the tunnel. So it's quite hard to learn to change and to accept that.
I think you're absolutely right. I do think if a positive came out of COVID was that people are realizing that we have to be a bit more adaptable to change, because
Yes.
changes
Yeah.
we wouldn't no, I don't think uh, very few people predicted COVID in its form at the point it was going to happen. I mean, there's a
Yes.
few books or films out about pandemics and stuff, but I don't think anyone, including me, thought, oh, it's going to happen in 2020, and so the world changed, and it was, you either adapt or you are lagged behind. I'm not saying, but and
Yeah.
I think looking back now, I think people are a bit more open to change because they realise change is something that's not in our control.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly. And trading circumstances change, don't they? And that
Yes, exactly.
makes you forces a change for you. And you look at the wedding segment in particular for hotels. Back in the day, you only ever got married in a hotel because that was the offering. And nowadays it's so diverse
Yes.
because it's changed. And
Uh,
so as a hotelier, you have to change along with it. So
yes.
we're very different as a hotel to a barn or a festival type feel, but
Yep.
we've still got a place in the market, but we
Yep.
just maybe have to change how we're presenting that, or change how
Yes.
we deliver that. So yeah, change is there in every way.
That makes perfect sense. So looking forward now, Victoria, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges, as you mentioned, what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
Um, well, the future in sales and marketing is always exciting because it's
Brilliant.
we're always on to the next thing, aren't we? And it's rapidly evolving. But technology will remain a challenge,
Yep.
but it's also an incredibly useful way to work, because it does
Yep.
give us, all those things like data-driven insights, digital marketing strategies. It allows us to automate booking systems, and guest experience is embraced by technology. But equally, on the back of that, I think customer and guest experiences expectations, sorry, are higher than ever. They just
Yep.
want a seamless process. So I think the challenge for the hotel industry is balancing innovation with the human touch, because again, and it links back to hospitality as a people industry. So
Yep.
it's all very well and good that you can book a room online, but actually some people want that
Yes.
conversation. And how do we balance that? How do we be efficient but personalized? um you know when you're buying at a certain price point, it's about trust, and you want that trust that you're going to create that memorable experience. So yeah, technology's got to be embraced, but we've always got to remember the human element. But I think for the hotel industry and hospitality on a wider scale, it's attracting and retaining the new talent,
Yes. Right.
and wanting to work through the ranks. And don't think, sometimes there's a little naivety that you can come in at a senior
Yes.
level.
Yep.
So yeah, like when I started with Virgin Hotels, I wasn't permitted to answer the phone in a certain hotel till I'd cleaned every bedroom and got to know it was a very
Oh,
boutique hotel, a very small. So, but you needed to know every element of that experience.
yes. Okay.
So yeah, I
Like
think
that.
you have to start, don't you, to the building blocks in a career.
I like that. No, that's really interesting. It's great. Yeah, because you need to know what every room's like, the
Yeah.
speciality, how that fits. Really interesting, fascinating, and yeah, I agree. I think unfortunately some of the impact of social media, etc., is people thinking they can become the top of the tree overnight,
Yeah.
just by wanting it enough.
But
But
as with any industry, though, you've got legal situations you've got to understand, and there's a wide breadth to a business, isn't there? And you'll know
yes,
that it's not just your service delivery. Behind that, the back of house and the cog that's turning there, and everything that we have to be on top of from a legal capacity and be safe. So you can't just come in; you have to put the hard work in, don't you? And
absolutely.
yeah.
A- Absolutely. And I'm keen to know what you say to anyone that's thinking of going into business right now. What would be your advice?
Um, I think I probably just sort of touched on that. You just got to be prepared to work hard,
Yes.
um, but don't forget to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Because if you're not enjoying the journey, and you're not building strong relationships, whether it be a supplier, a guest, a commercial lead, then you're not going to have fun, and it's going to become hard work.
You're
You,
absolutely right. Yeah, no,
I think,
I couldn't agree more.
yeah,
And what what would be the best advice? Just a final question for you. I'm really keen to know
yeah.
what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that.
Well, try and stay in those Levi 501 size 8s for starters. Don't eat too much cake. No, I would say don't be afraid to take risks, because sometimes, I've personally held back. And I
Brilliant.
think I worried about having it all figured out too much. Well, actually, life rarely goes to plan. So be it not getting it the way you want it initially is part of the learning.
Yes.
Um, but I mentioned it earlier. You've got to you've got to have happiness and balance. Got to recharge. Got to pursue your
Love it.
passions.
Love it.
And family for me is really important.
Yeah.
So never lose sight of that.
Lovely. Sound advice, I think, for everybody. So
Mm.
thank you so much. Victoria, it's been fascinating talking to you today, and I can see why you do what you do. It's a light shines from you, so it's lovely.
Oh.
And for anyone that's watching would like to get in touch with you or the Milner, what would be the easiest way of doing that?
Obviously, you can visit the website, milneryork.com, or I'm happy to give out my email if anybody would like to come in and see the hotel, visit, or have a chat. And that's victoria.poole@themilneryork.com.
Wonderful. Well, look, it'd be great to swing by another 6 to 12 months to just see what's new in the world of hospitality and the Milner. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.